Penny Pratt is the member for Frome and also the Shadow Minister for Regional Health Services. And Penny, welcome back on Flow. It looks like both of those topics are at the fore with the Clare Hospital today.
Look, they certainly are, Ricky. Thank you and good morning to your listeners. It's a fantastic outcome for the Clare Valley and broader districts to receive this much-needed investment and funding, $4.8 million into the Clare Hospital. It's not insignificant. And after years of advocacy from the locals, directors of nursing and myself, I'm really pleased that we're seeing this investment into the theatre surgical suite. It's going to allow doctors to maintain their skills for complex surgery and really give people who live locally better access to high quality healthcare closer to home.
And it's going to be important, as you say, for those, the surgeons and others to maintain their skills, because it can be a challenge to attract, specialists as well as general practitioners into regional areas. So having excellent facilities is one way to retain good staff.
Absolutely. Look, I think the Clare Valley is a draw card and a great lifestyle option for doctors, nurses and allied health professionals, but we don't want anything to be a detractor. We all appreciate the pressures that are on the health workforce at the moment. So there's some construction impediments that will need to be have a workaround while we see this theatre surgical suite come online. But Clare Valley and the Clare Hospital is going to be an attraction point, hopefully, for doctors and nurses that are looking for this lifestyle.
Now, one of the other initiatives amongst a flurry of announcements that happened during the country cabinet meeting of the Malinauskas government in the York Peninsula last week was about medical training in places like Eyre Peninsula and the West Coast, enabling them to the student doctors to do some of their training out in a regional area. This has got to be a good initiative as well.
We welcome any initiative that is an incentive for junior doctors, medical graduates, overseas trained doctors, nurses to look at regional South Australia and say, that is where I want to be, that is where I want to practice. And I know that 5 such positions were being promoted through the Eyre Peninsula. We want to see this happening right across South Australia, and with the federal government involvement in strengthening Medicare task force, where they are looking at opportunities to support doctors to reflect on the increasing cost of doing business, the Medicare rebate that isn't keeping up with those costs. These are all factors that are an impediment to perhaps doctors being able to work in regional SA. We know that bulk billing gets caught up in that. So any initiative that governments can do and any incentives they can offer to keep our workforce in South Australia is important, because I can tell you, Ricky, and your listeners, that across the border in Victoria, the Premier is offering up to $40,000 incentive payments to keep and attract and retain the workforce that they have. We do not want to see any of our doctors lured across the border because that government had better incentives than we do.
Yeah, we cover multiple states, including Victoria and indeed New South Wales, where we're hearing reports that some nurses or paramedics are having to sleep in their cars because there's insufficient accommodation. The state government seems to have at least acknowledged with what they're calling key workers in the health sphere, we need to put some housing on very soon.
Housing's an issue for every industry, Ricky, and it comes up through my office time and time again. And particularly in regional South Australia, we're seeing businesses that can't recruit and can't employ and can't grow their business because they can't house them. I know that the current government is turning its mind to that and has made announcements. And in the district of Burra, a project is coming online to support workers in the renewable energy space. And again, we welcome that. But access and affordability to housing for mainstream people is still a challenge.
Now, I know what has also been a challenge is local events, and there's some big ones coming up in your region surrounding Clare. The Autumn Garden Festival, the Rodeo, and indeed Gourmet Week in May.
Oh, look, there's so much to be excited about. I went to the bull ride in Maribel just a few weeks ago, and there are about 4,000 people that travelled across the district to come to that event. And South Australia is really turning it on. So in a couple of weeks' time, Ricky, on March 19th, the Autumn Garden Festival kicks off at the Clare Valley Showgrounds. And of course, it's always an event that pleases. Happy to promote gardening experts like Costa Georgiades artist and Sophie Thompson. I'm going to have a stall there. We've got Rebecca Sullivan who will be promoting her Wandu product. And it's a fantastic day out. So I really recommend that people come along. But as you say, Gourmet Weekend, it's turned into a week now. It's such a popular event. It's 30 years old, a well-established event. And later in the year, perhaps I'll get to give it a plug later, but of course the Auburn French Festival will be marking its second event in September. So the Clare and Gilbert Valley is always going to offer something to South Australians if they are happy to get in the car and come for a drive.
Absolutely fantastic to see public events back up and running after a few years of very difficult operations.
Absolutely.
Penny Pratt is the member for Frome and also Shadow Minister for Regional Health Services. Thanks for joining us today on Flow.
Thank you.